Welcome back. You're live with Expresso. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's build a little self-esteem. What, in fact, builds our self-esteem? What makes us feel confident and, more importantly, respect and actually just like the person that we are? These questions may be challenging for an adult to answer. Now imagine how challenging it is for an adolescent when you are shaping your view on the world and yourself. Well, this morning, registered occupational therapist Nazreen Karim joins us in studio to chat about the importance of building your child's self-esteem. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Always great to have you here, especially when we're delving into something that is so vitally important. And I don't even want to get into the negative to start. Just let's start on a positive footing and say, why is it so important for a young person to have a good self-image? It might seem like a simple thing, but it's massive.
Absolutely. Well, Graham, everything begins with self-esteem, you know. If you think about when a child begins their first day at school, everything begins right then and there, you know. When they make friends and the compliments that they receive from others, it builds self-esteem. It gives them the confidence to actually make new friendships and actually establish new relationships at school. It encourages them to perform and actually be their best every single day. It's really the foundation of them believing in themselves.
And it's amazing, if you feel a little bit different, your perspective is slightly different, you feel like you can tackle anything.
Absolutely.
And we now know, we've dispelled the myth that school is easy. We know that it's challenging. We know that the social environment is challenging, especially now, the advent of social media, but just being in any kind of social environment, now you must balance that with activities and academic, and what are the expectations of parents? What are some of the negative effects of not having that confidence, that self-esteem?
Well, you know, often we see that sometimes kids with poor self-esteem, especially those that have very high expectations being placed on them, it leads to depression sometimes. It actually leads to anxiety. So we're always looking at those psychosocial and emotional issues that comes along with that. We look at bullying that happens, because often bullies tend to target those with the low self-esteem. You know,
Soft to target, easy targets.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe speaking directly to young people out there now,
Yes.
What is something, a mantra that you can say to yourself? How can you approach this before we look at what parents can do? How, as a young person, how can I make myself start to reinforce the positive?
Firstly, I think when looking at kids, they are learning on a daily basis, and very important for them to know and understand that it's okay to make mistakes. You know,
That's a very adult thing, to know and make mistakes.
absolutely, and that's where they can actually use that as a basis to learn from. Just on a daily basis, always for them to actually acknowledge good things and positive things about themselves, you know. For example, if they get something right in class, to actually compliment themselves and, yeah, I did this, you know? So always looking for the positives about themselves rather than criticizing themselves, as we would with adults as well.
I love that, and start that narrative, because how we feel actually is a choice, and the messages, the words that we use in our head, that's not something that happens to you, it's a choice. You choose what to say to yourself. So pat yourself on the back occasionally. You really are worth it. From a parent's perspective, we want to be encouraging, but we also want to make sure that we're being realistic. We don't want to give our child false expectations of success, but we certainly want to, and I speak from my own experience with a very young child, you want to kind of feel like you're the platform that propels them forward. How can parents be that positive first step towards a good, healthy self-esteem?
Well, believe it or not, the first thing is for you to present that example of a good self-esteem to your child as well. So they actually learn from their parents. Parents, when they lead by example, that's when a child really learns a sense of self-worth. You know, so if they see the parents constantly putting themselves down, automatically it impacts on them. You know, and that's how they learn from it. But if they see a parent that's always positive and always believing in themselves, they tend to mimic that behavior.
That's the model. You're doing a great job. I'm doing a great job as a parent. You're doing a great job as a parent. And as a young person, you've got this, man. I love the fact that we are hopefully going to be giving you some tools to empower yourself through this process. Forget about what anyone else says. Your opinion is the only one that matters, and you should start loving yourself right now. If you're not there, we'll get you there. We've still got one more segment with Nazreen in a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso. Thank you so much for joining us. A little bit earlier in the show, a registered occupational therapist Nazreen Karim talked us through why having a good self-esteem is so important and some of the negative effects of having a low self-esteem. Obviously focusing mainly on our kids today, but I think it transfers to all of us. Life is better if you view yourself in a better light. And we're going to continue that conversation right now. And I'm going to ask you, Nazreen, what is a healthy self-esteem look like? We're not wanting an ego, we're wanting just a healthy reflection of self. What does that look like?
Well, basically, you're looking at a child that believes in themselves unconditionally. The child that's always, the one that's always daring and willing to just go out there, put themselves out there. The one who believes in themselves, who's not afraid of mistakes, not afraid of failure. The one who actually genuinely wants to just take everybody with them along in that positive streak of actually getting things done at school. I mean, you see it a lot with, the boy who's the leader in the class, always actually getting everybody to do the fun stuff and actually getting ahead in the classroom.
Because positivity is infectious. It's something, and I think a lot of adults, we're sitting there going, man, I wish I viewed the world like that. You want to be that kind of person who people want to be around because it's going to feed into your success. Certainly in a school environment, life is going to be a lot, I don't want to say easier because there's always going to be challenges, but you're going to enjoy embracing those challenges as much as the failures that come with them. How can we as a parent help to develop? We know that obviously self-love is a major thing. If you're setting that example, what can we do to help remind our kids just how amazing they are?
I think it's very important to remind them that no matter what, they have a place that they can come back to, an unconditional place of love.
I love that.
So even if you mess up, no matter what you do, I'm still here for you, and I will always love you. And to really listen to them. So if you see that they are worried, or if you see that they are stressed about something, to actually genuinely listen to them and really empathize with them. Because often, sometimes parents are obviously rushing to get things done, and maybe just, by accident, they might end up saying, or actually sort of trivialize the child's feelings unintentionally, but that does always impact on the child as well,
Yeah, I think you just put yourself in their shoes, and if you were feeling like that, if you were feeling undervalued, the fact that someone isn't taking the time to value you and actually, suss out the situation, and it's amazing. I think, you want to, as I say, be realistic, but so that they trust your advice and they trust what you're saying, that you're not just telling them they're amazing. You have all the potential in the world, but they must actually believe you. But I think if you're going to open that kind of line of dialogue, that two-way conversation, so you can talk to your child on those off days before it develops into something much bigger.
Yeah.
Last piece of advice for parents and for young people who are watching about self-esteem?
I think it's very important to parents to actually look at their children's gifts. Every child is born with a gift. So often, instead of looking at what society expects, but to try and focus on that individual's particular gift, no matter what it might be. And to nurture those gifts that the child has been given, and to set realistic expectations based on those strengths and those weaknesses that they might have.
I love it. And don't label your child. Everyone else will try to label your child. They are unique. Nazreen, you are unique. Thank you so much for spreading this positive message. Funny thing is, while I was at school, the one thing that I got into trouble for more than anything else, which was never being able to shut up, is now how I actually earn my living. Focus on your gifts. Celebrate those gifts. And I think a good place to start, if you wanted to feel better about yourself, help someone else feel better about themselves. And it's amazing how that energy starts to cycle around in your life. But you're amazing. Go and believe it.